Right, welcome back to episode 2 of this Ferrari to Glory career mode in F1 Manager. Last time we had the Austrian Grand Prix, and if you want to go see that video, do it now. I'll give you 2 seconds, else I'll spoil it for you. 1, 2, it was an absolute domination from start to finish. It was Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz battling tooth and nail between the two of them, and no one else even had a look in. Even with a safety car that threw things into turmoil, we calmly double stacked them onto a fresh set of tyres when other people made the mistake of staying out, and we absolutely dominated the Grand Prix. And because of that race that Charles Leclerc won, he closed the gap to within 3 points of his teammate Sainz in the championship, and we have extended our lead significantly to Red Bull Racing in the Constructors. We move on though to the French Grand Prix. Now obviously in real life this, you could argue, was the start of the downfall for Ferrari, because again, they were looking decently quick. Whether they would have had Max on pace for the whole weekend, I don't know. Sainz wasn't the fastest that race. Leclerc looked okay. But from the lead of the race, Leclerc crashed, and Carlos Sainz was then subject to an absolutely brain-dead strategy where he was told to come in literally as he was side by side with Perez, and then ultimately he got a penalty, lost out a lot of places, and Red Bull moved clear of Ferrari in the Constructors. We're going to aim to put history right as we head to the French Grand Prix. So, plan for this weekend, make history right again. We will aim obviously to win. And very simply, well, it looks like we've got rain then across this weekend, not for the race, but practice and maybe qualifying. Interesting. Okay, so I will do as I normally do. I will just, should I send out a reserve driver? Nah, I'm not going to. If this was a longer term career mode, I would, but I'll just send out Carlos and Charles for all of the practice sessions. They need the practice they can get. And look at this, Leclerc ahead of Sainz, absolutely clear of Red Bull Racing, 5 tenths ahead of Verstappen. This is hopefully going to be good. Hamilton, second weekend in a row, he's got a penalty coming into this race, along with Alonso, Ricciardo. Latifi, who of course had his bizarre retirement in the last episode, has also got a penalty. Let's get, oh, they're happy with their setups. This is good news. Weirdly it's told me that both of them will start on dry, slick tyres. So I don't know whether the rain would get bad later on in the sessions, I don't know. Okay, that session was closer, with Leclerc just edging out Carlos Sainz. That's still 1-2 though. Leclerc, sorry, not just edging out Sainz, just edging out Verstappen, but Leclerc running away from his teammate. He's looked on fire this race so far. They're already very happy with their setups. Ooh,
we'll be
I'm
kicking off
tempted
today with the
to
final practice.
let them just do this normally now, but I think just to try and maximise setup confidence, I will cut to the end of FP3. I will take them on board and I will push to get the best possible setups. I will update you. Right, so FP3 has now concluded. There was no rain, so, and of course the weather radar said there would be rain today, as you might be able to hear is actually the case in real life as well outside my house. But in F1 there is no rain in FP3, which means that it will come in qualifying, so again that might spice things up a bit. As you can see, Sainz very happy with this setup again, was able to set a very good lap time. Leclerc took a little bit more, and actually he's on an untested setup, but I've taken the gamble because there was only one area he really wasn't happy with, So I've taken a gamble. He's on an untested setup. I think he'll like it more than his other setups have. His best previously was 73% confidence. As you can see, there's a question mark. I think that will be in the 80s, hopefully, when this is done. Science was 92. He was loving it. So they're all very familiar with the track as well. So here we go. Again, I'll probably just skip to Q3, maybe. If anything happens, then I will stay on board. I mean, let's watch Q1. It's normally a one and done kind of lap. Oh, just as well I've brought you on board. The rain is going to come straight away in this Q1 session, so I'm going to send both the drivers out there immediately. Get a lap time in while you can. Sonoda has the right idea, so does Ocon. I don't really care which one of my drivers is faster here, and it's Sainz, but it's already started to rain.
Rain, so be careful.
Copy.
Already raining. Both of them are coming in anyway. I don't need to worry about bringing them in. They are just trickling around the circuit now. Okay. Everyone out there now is on inters. Hamilton might be struggling. He's on the slick tyres, which is pretty disastrous for him. But the rain is coming and it is only going to get heavier. So I think these guys have got to quickly pit back in and get some slick tyres on. Sorry, some full wets on, because the track's only going to get heavier. And I reckon if Hamilton, Russell quickly come in, they'll be able to strap a set of inters on and get out. At the moment though, both Mercedes are out in Q1, it will seem. Unless they can find time. We're looking at a double Mercedes Q1 exit. That rain is definitely more than it was for the first flying laps set. Mercedes could be in proper trouble here. They just about make it through, but a big name has gone. Fernando Alonso. Wow. Both Williams are gone, that's no surprise. Both Hasses are gone, that's not really been the case this season. And Fernando Alonso. Wow, wow, wow. And you can see Sonoda up in P3 setting his lap when it really mattered. Mercedes counting their lucky stars that they just about pipped Fernando Alonso through. 14th and 15th. Not good news. Both Astons would be very happy they got through. Right. Yeah, 82% confidence. You can see Charles is much happier with this. Let's just see what happens now in second session. No rain, but cloudy later on, so I'm reckoning again I'll probably just send both cars out now.
Okay.
Just get a quick banker lap in, done. It should be a one and done kind of lap. We are fastest, maybe second fastest car on the grid, really. I mean, look, Leclerc is way quicker than Hamilton. I mean, look at that, Hamilton 1.2 off the pace. This is bad news for him. I'm just going to let it play out for you guys to watch the timing sheets change. I do not think there will be any shocks really. It'll be the usual suspects out, though maybe Zhou will squeak through here. This is interesting. Zhou has been pretty underwhelming this season. Maybe Zhou Guan Yu can squeak through ahead of Lando Norris in the McLaren. Obviously this is McLaren and they weren't doing amazingly in real life. Let's see, what can Zhou do? He does make it through. Wow, well done Zhou. Usual suspects though, both Aston's gone. Yuki gone. Of course, didn't get lucky with his setting lap time early this time, and Norris, Ricciardo both gone as well. It's through into Q3. Let's just try and blitz the timing sheets one more time. I mean, we were pretty much a second.
And
Oh,
attack chance?
again, the rain is coming very early here.
Okay.
So I'm going to send both drivers out early again. Gasly is out early this time. I think everyone's realised this time. Everyone seems to be coming out. Perez and Ocon may be a little bit too late for the optimum lap time. Tell you what, our drivers have crossed the line just in time. Because everyone
Okay,
else
some rain coming.
is now out on a slightly damper track. Verstappen a second slower. Perez is going to be slipping and sliding through the last sector. Hamilton has done a very good job to get into P4 ahead of his teammate on a damper track than when Russell set his lap. I think Perez might be the big loser here. Zhou, unfortunately for him, he's not really set his time correctly. Oh wow, yeah, that shows it, doesn't it? Perez and Ocon will probably be even slower than that. Perez has had to probably crawl through this last sector. Yeah, 9th only, and Ocon probably slower still. Yep, 10th. So, once again, rain affecting qualifying. What on earth can Perez do to try and recover this? I don't think he's going to get any higher than 8th on the grid here. This is a brilliant qualifying from Zhou. If only he'd have gone out a little bit earlier. It's full wet on track now, according to the FIA, which means it's even wetter than a damp track. So, yeah, I mean, that is the Ferrari's front row lockout again. Leclerc on pole from Sainz, and Perez doesn't improve. Perez starts 9th. Of course, we don't know what Hamilton's penalty is going to be. He's done a very good qualifying into P4. But it's a Ferrari front row lockout. Leclerc saving his best lap till last. Of course, getting in just before the rain started. There's been no issues. Let's get into the start sequence. Let's not stall about here. I'll just show you the strategy. I mean, once again, it looks like there's no rain here. Probably just a very simple one stop. I mean, I could try and push to a hard soft, but I'd rather not. I think I'll go medium hard again. Very simple strategy, obviously very flexible with safety cars as well. Compounds, we have 2 mediums. We even have a new soft to potentially use. Should I use the softs off the start? No, I think it's safe to go medium. Mediums are hard, and let's get into this race.
As the sun continues, this is it. It's time
Right,
for the
here
French
we go.
Grand Prix.
Ferrari. Can this be the redemption in France that we're looking for? Lights out, and
And
away
it's
we
lights
go.
out, and away we go.
Thank you, Ted. Right. So, off the start, Leclerc still absolutely fine, ahead of Sainz, ahead of Verstappen. Hamilton down in 10th. After his penalty, he was 9th, I saw, so he's just lost out to Ocon. Ricciardo might have had a moment. Oh no, he had a penalty, sorry. Alonso, obviously, with his penalty, is now last, fighting with Latifi. How the mighty have fallen. Let's just push away now. Once again, I'm going to aim not to give team orders. I don't want to be favouring one side or the other, because I really don't mind who wins out of Leclerc or Sainz the championship, but this main aim is for Ferrari to win the constructors. Obviously in real life it was Leclerc who was miles ahead in the drivers, but I don't really mind who wins the drivers, just so long as we get constructors glory and one of our drivers wins the drivers championship, and we are already pulling clear of Max. This is very good. I'll stay on board for the first lap of DRS. Let's ride on board with Carlos, see if he can follow Leclerc through. Obviously we'll be getting a nice big tow, but no team orders. I don't think I'll need to, hopefully I won't. We're already pulling miles clear of Verstappen. Perez has recovered already into P5. Hamilton not showing the same qualifying pace, that's rare. Mercedes normally much better in the race than in quali. But hopefully I will cut after this lap to a point of action. This is just DRS enabled. I want to see what happens. Will Sainz be able to make a move on Charles, or will Charles Leclerc be able to defend against the Spaniard? Here we go. This will be the big test. He's pulled out a bigger gap, but with DRS he needed to do that. Here comes Sainz, and he's closer, but not close enough. Okay, right. I will cut to a point of action as Magnussen goes tumbling down the order, probably a spin or a
They've
lock
locked
up.
up and gone
Yep.
straight off.
Lock up for Kevin Magnussen. Right, cut will happen now. Right, so nothing really has happened. It's just been Sainz and Leclerc squabbling away for the race lead, fastest lap, just as it was in Austria. This has once again just been so comfortable. I don't know what has happened to Red Bull. I mean, we made some big early developments at the start of the season, but just recently in these last two races at Austria and France, we've just absolutely dominated Red Bull. It's, of course, in real life in Austria, Ferrari were miles quicker than the Red Bulls on that day, but France, it was much closer, and it really, if anything, this race has shown that they're perhaps even more dominant here. So we are just approaching the pit window, and I'm going to have to think about how I want to approach this pit window, because obviously both drivers are fine. Last race I gave Sainz the undercut because of his underfloor damage, so I thought, you know what, he might need the undercut to help him out, and I don't want him fighting Leclerc on used tyres and underfloor damage. But obviously no one has crushed this race, which is a much more pleasant situation to have, because I thought Sainz would be a lot slower in the moment. But Sainz looks like he's done a lot more wear on his tyres. He's in the 53%. Charles is much nicer on his tyres. So again, it might have to be Carlos who comes in first. I don't want to. The problem is I don't want to be called like a favouritism towards Carlos Sainz in the cuts, because I know the undercut is quite. Oh, the undercut is quite powerful. But I don't really see a way around this. Sainz's tyres are just worse. In a real race, Sainz would be moaning a lot more to come in than Charles would. You know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna ignore Charles to come in. I'm gonna pick Carlos, because then also it gives Leclerc the advantage of, if there's a safety car, then this will massively benefit Leclerc. If there is a if there isn't, then obviously Sainz has been helped on the undercut. Obviously I will be pitting Leclerc next lap anyway. Verstappen has tried to pit early. I mean, he's going for an undercut on Sainz clearly. Yeah, this race has been a bit boring, to be honest. A bit like France in real life was. It was never really the action-packed Grand Prix everyone hoped it would be. But yeah, it's just been really comfortable out in front. I've not had to give team orders. It's just been a fun fight to watch. Obviously, I have to choose who to pick, because double stacking in non-safety car conditions is never a wise idea. So Sainz is I need to actually make sure that Leclerc knows he's pitting this lap. There we go. So box this lap, Charles. Checo pits. He's now out in 7th. Bottas, by the way, has had a very impressive race. He's kept Hamilton at bay. He's he's yet to pit, but he started, I think, on the hards. Yeah, he started on the hards along with both Mercedes, so they're both going to be going long in the hope for presumably a safety car to then get a free pit stop over Red Bull onto quicker tyres. So, that being said, we're right on board with Sainz. Leclerc is exiting the pits. Oh, and the pit stop, just the pit lane is awful. The pit exit, who on earth decided on that idea to have it on the racing line? But it has benefited Leclerc here. The undercut didn't benefit Leclerc last time, but it will benefit him here. And now, Sainz goes around the outside on warmed up hard tyres. So, that was to be expected. Sainz obviously had fresher tyres. I will again probably just be overseeing a constant fight now between Sainz and Leclerc, battling over fastest lap over fastest lap. Hopefully for the rest of this Grand Prix, to be honest with you. Obviously you don't want to just see the same gameplay over and over again, I get that. So I will cut to any interesting point that I may have. But if there is nothing, and it's France, so it's very possible that there is no action, as Leclerc, wow, brave move around the outside. If there is no action, then I will cut to like the final 5 laps and we'll watch to see who wins the race together. So as I predicted, this race has been very, very dull. What I can say is Sainz really struggled to unlap other cars and significantly dropped back from Leclerc, and that's a shame because I was really enjoying seeing them scrapping away. Sainz didn't make any mistakes, but he just couldn't unlap cars as cleanly as Leclerc could. So not unlap, to lap cars. And yeah, that's really cost him in this race because Leclerc has just pulled away and pulled away. He couldn't do that with the DRS. So Sainz has struggled to close the gap back, and in fact the gap has grown a lot. So unless Leclerc has another moment in France, we are on for a 1-2, but not a close finish like there was in Austria. We're on for a Leclerc utter brilliant display. But, oh dear, that's a struggle to unlap from the Williams there. That's chopped the gap by 0.2. I mean, that's still not a huge amount. It's not going to make a dot of difference. It's like a drop in the ocean for Charles Leclerc. This has just been, again, a brilliant performance from the boys. I mean, you wonder just how bad the Ferrari strategy team must be, because I've taken the reins. I have won every single race with this car, and just with some reasonable strategy, not overcomplicating things, some simple development throughout the season, but some harsh development at the start to try and gain a competitive edge, we have absolutely cooked Red Bull in these last few races. And obviously I'm expecting there to be a circuit where we aren't so good. I mean, the Canadian Grand Prix, which was one of the last ones before I decided to record and upload this series, was carnage because Sainz crashed into Verstappen, who crashed into Leclerc. Leclerc and Verstappen were both out. Sainz was last and then managed to win the Grand Prix because just as he'd crashed in, the track changed from dry to wet. So he was able to pit onto the inters with mild front wing change, so his losses were very minimal. And it was mental because obviously he got a penalty for it, but it didn't matter. And yeah, there'll be races like that where we aren't so lucky and Sainz will retire. Maybe Leclerc will crash as well, and we won't be so lucky if multiple cars are involved in the pile-up, but for the time being, we've just got to focus on the job in hand race by race, and that's what the boys have done this race. Leclerc, utterly brilliant. And on to the last lap of this Grand Prix that he thoroughly deserves to win. Look at this, he's just extended the gap out even more to Carlos Sainz. I'm just going to skip ahead so he can just get into the last sector. Here he comes, where he crashed in real life. Charles Leclerc, the Monegasque in the French Grand Prix. He has been a class above the rest today. He will take the checkered flag, a winner, and will take it to become the championship leader.
Let's go!
Sainz comes home for second, and we've got to wait an awful long time for the final bit of the podium to be sorted out. It will be Max Verstappen, who just was never there. Never there. It was a pretty poor showing. You can see Ocon, Ricardo, Norris rounded out the points. Verstappen will get third. Sergio Perez fourth. And then we've got an even longer wait for George Russell, with very impressive on the alternate strategy. Along with Hamilton then, and Valtteri Bottas, the last driver across the line. P7 for the Alfa Romeo team. Good race for them, good race for McLaren, good race for Ferrari. So with that win, Leclerc moves above Sainz in the Drivers' Championships. The Constructors again, maximum haul of points, 499 for the season. So this has been a brilliant haul. Alfa Romeo makes slight gains on Alpine in the fight for fourth in the Constructors. Mercedes kind of in a land of their own in third. Red Bull in a land of their own for second, and Ferrari just need to consolidate, stay solid, stay focused. Pretty good race, very solid race from the guys. Have to see, Sainz has development point, that'll be very good, because obviously Leclerc got one last race. See if Carlos now can level up. What will I upgrade for him? Well, if I upgrade reactions, he'll become 80 in every stat minimum, so I'll do that. He is now for all the FIFA players out there, he's a Hullet Gang driver. Leclerc will share nothing, and nothing on any of these guys either. They've not been able to update for ages. Upcoming board review, the board review in 7 days. Well, I mean, really shouldn't be in too much danger of my job here. Board confidence high, race performance delighted, objectives and finances satisfied. Well, I've still got 57 mil, so look, I've not had any debt. Look, if the fact that they're only satisfied, disappointing. Season objective first, on target. Yep, we very much are, thank you. Right, so next race we're going to be in Hungary, which is interesting. Don't know if that will be a different race for us. Obviously Hungary is often a very unpredictable Grand Prix. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think I'm going to wrap this up here. Can I make any developments? I can't. Okay, right. Well then I'll wrap it up there. If you have enjoyed, thank you so much. And do let me know if you enjoy this series. Just make my day really. I mean, for no other reason. But a little bit of time out of your day will make mine a lot better. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you for the Hungarian Grand Prix.